Hello. Welcome to this forum for Tacoma City Council District 5. I'm Liz Kernitz-Thurlow of the League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County, and I will be moderating. Thanks to our candidates and to TV Tacoma. The primary election is Tuesday, August 3rd. You must place your ballot in a drop box or get it postmarked by 8 p.m. that evening. Many local elections will be on that ballot. Any race with more than 2 candidates will be there, and our primary votes will narrow it to 2 candidates who will proceed to the general election on November 2nd. The candidates for District 5 are Joe Bushnell, Trayvon Dunbar, and Ann Artman. Welcome. Unfortunately, Trayvon Dunbar is not here, but we are talking with the other 2 candidates now. They have agreed to our ground rules, which, among other things, say that they will not discuss each other in their answers. Do you both agree? Good. Candidates will have up to 2 minutes for opening statements, whatever I give them for questions, and 1 minute for closing statements. Our timekeeper is Susan Eidenschenk. She will signal you when you have 1 minute remaining, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and when it is time to stop. When you see stop, if you're in the middle of a sentence, you may finish your sentence. In ballot order, Joe Bushnell will give the first opening statement. After that, the order will rotate with each question. Joe Bushnell, your opening statement, please.
Thank you for having me today. My name is Joe Bushnell, and I'm running for Tacoma City Council, District 5. I was born and raised in Tacoma, and I'm a graduate of the Stadium High School. I spent a little over a decade in the Marine Corps, and I currently work advocating for local small businesses in the hospitality industry. As you can imagine, it's been pretty rough for them for the last year or so. After my time in the Marines, I've always sought ways to give back to the community and have done a lot of volunteer work. I am the board chair of the South Tacoma Neighborhood Council. I sit on the Tacoma Public Utilities Board. I participate in neighborhood cleanups and volunteer with Toys for Tots and all kinds of other activities. The opportunity to run for city council came up and I thought, of course, I love our city and our community and I want to continue to advocate for our residents. And being on the council will allow me to continue to serve our community more directly and help bring positive changes to my district. The top 3 issues I'd like to tackle for our neighborhoods on council is housing affordability and homelessness, public safety, and bringing good jobs to our community so folks don't have to travel up north for hours to find good work. All these policies are very important to the residents of South Tacoma and the South End. And I really appreciate your time in allowing me to speak today.
Thank you. Your opening statement, please, Ann Artman.
Hello, my name is Ann Artman. I'm running for Tacoma City Council, District 5. This is a district that I have lived in for nearly 40 years. It's the same district where I raised my son, who graduated from Mount Tacoma, and the 35-year-old son that I'm very proud of is actually currently a teacher in the Tacoma School District. I'm also a small business owner. I opened up the Tacoma Recovery Center about 6 years ago, and that was based on what I saw at that time was becoming a crisis. I'm that person that if there's a problem, I look into the big picture, and so I opened the Recovery Cafe, which is today called the Recovery Center. But at the same time that I did that, to make sure I had the knowledge and understanding, I received a degree in psychology and went on to receive a master's degree in behavioral health. You may realize by now that my top 3 concerns, of course, are behavioral health, homelessness, substance misuse, and social injustice. My journey began unexpectedly, but I realized today in taking the choice and running for Tacoma City Council that my voice is needed. My direction that I have is needed. I was fortunate enough to receive the very first contract with the city of Tacoma for the tiny home village. About 25 individuals there. I still track their data with them, and at least half of them are still housed, which is wonderful. What I'd like to do is to bring in my experience, my knowledge, and my education into the city council and my ability to communicate with individuals. I sit on boards as well, the Vallejo Board, Optum Behavioral Health, Hilltop Business Association, the Washington State Recovery Alliance, where I was vice chair, as well as a community board for Pierce County, who helped to implement the 4-year program for the early childhood education. Looking forward to working with the city council, bringing my knowledge in there and just working in a collaborative way that we can solve these concerns that we have. Again, thank you, and I appreciate you having me here today.
Thank you. We appreciate both of you being here. Now we move to questions, and Artman will answer the first question first. What issues do you see as being unique to the South End, and how do you plan to deal with them? 90 seconds.
One of the things I find that's unique to the South End is that in doorbell knocking, I've been told that people feel as though they are the forgotten city, the forgotten community. They appreciate the fact that I do have nearly 40 years experience in living in my community. But what I've noticed is that small business, up and down South Tacoma Way, we have so many abandoned buildings that we could be inspiring and empower individuals to open up their own small business so that individuals could work and live in the same area. I've experienced being able to walk to work when I lived in Hilltop for about a year. I want our community to work here, raise your kids here, go to school here, thrive here, and also empower them to reach their goals as a business owner. Owning your own business in Tacoma, it empowers you and it brings all the resources into the city, and it has a strong community feel. So I want to increase community engagement, as well as hopefully is that reach those individuals who feel as though they are forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Bushnell.
Thank you, Liz. As I'm doorbelling, as I'm talking to residents of South Tacoma and the South End, I agree with Ann that there's a lot of folks that feel that we are neglected here. A lot of the policies that are enacted are to the benefit of those living in the North End or Northeast Tacoma and other parts of our city. I believe we need to do better in providing equity in services, equity in investment in our community, and I want to bring that to the City Council. A lot of the small businesses in our area are struggling as well, and I would like to see more investment in the infrastructure down here and some changing of the zoning and codes that would encourage development and investment in our community as well. So that's me. Thank you.
Thank you. And you're first for the next question. Across the U.S. and here in Tacoma, we continue to see the deaths of unarmed Black men at the hands of police. How can and should City Council address the accountability, training, and deployment of the police? 90 seconds again.
Thank you. That's a very important issue, and it goes back to systemic racism that has perpetuated the United States for over 400 years. And we really need to change how we operate our police department, police forces, and I really approve of the city's current anti-racist systems transformations that they are pursuing, and I want to support those works and efforts to root out systemic racism in our city. And I also agree with the 21st century 21st century policing study that was recently done by the City Council, which includes 64 recommendations on use of force policy changes, as well as administrative and other changes. And I believe that we need to work with the police department, the city manager, and others to swiftly implement those and change how we do policing in Tacoma. Manny Ellis was killed in the South End of Tacoma, and him and his family have not received swift justice for his death. And I believe that we need to do better as a city and do better as a police. Our police officers need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you. And Artman.
Thank you. Excellent question. Ellie Manning case is one of the reasons why I chose to run for City Council as well. And I believe that, of course, the work that the city is doing, it is moving in the right direction. I like the idea of the oversight. Of course, I've been using the body cameras for a while, and also to accountability. But most important of all is that my behavioral health hat that I wear also says is that we have police officers that have been on the force for 10, 20, 30 years. Every single day they're out in these situations to where it probably is affecting them mentally. So I say as we go through training, let's say, once a year, is that these officers receive some sort of a behavior or psychological evaluation, not to bring harm to them, but to bring support to them. So maybe we can deal with some of the biases as well. The other thing is that use our community liaison officers more for incidences that are non-violent, non-threatening. And that way we can use the other officers for services for the 911 calls and the emergencies, but really start to connect community liaison officers with the community where they're actually engaging with them. And we can sort of start to build those relations with each other and that sense of trust. Most important, though, is I do believe that the city is going in the right direction. We need to make sure that we follow that direction. We all stay on course. And with the police department is that when it comes to change, it has to start from the top down, and they could be that guide towards change, working in collaboration with the city council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you will answer the next question first, of course, so it will always be that way. How in your leadership will you demonstrate your commitment to anti-racism? How will you contribute? And what specific programs will you advocate to promote racial justice in Tacoma?
Thank you. I'm a community engagement person. You'll probably hear me say this a lot throughout this conversation, is that I think the first thing we need to do is that bring the community together, whether it's small work groups, the way that the city does when they're implementing a new program. Really connect with the community, ask them the questions of which direction should we be going. Not that we don't know, but we need to be inclusive with everyone and find out how we can get where we need to get. That's the first thing is. And then on top of that is that whatever we implement is that we have to make sure that we stay firm in following all the guidelines, all the implementations, but staying connected and then having some sort of a committee or a group, maybe a community liaison group that can travel along with us as we make these changes to ensure that they are being made. I think the most important message that we can send to folks is that if we're going to change, it has to be inclusive. It has to have the community voice. It has to have the voice of the BIPOC community. Everyone needs to be involved for that change to happen. And that's what I would do. I would be that voice of change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bushnell?
Thank you. I'm a half Cambodian, so I've been struggling with this issue my entire life. A lot of Asian American voices are often dismissed and not heard through the community. I would like to lift those voices up and bring them to the front and really try to help people understand the situations that brought us, me and my family specifically, to this country. And I really believe that community engagement is important as well, to bring those voices and concerns forward so that way we can all understand each other. I remember as when I was a young boy, that oftentimes there would be festivals and other cultural events that happen throughout the city. And to me, those are really important. And I feel like we've gone away from that. There isn't as many cultural events occurring throughout the city. And I would like to bring those back. I believe in, teaching the young folks tolerance and exposing them to differences in opinion, differences in culture. And it really is important for the community as a whole. So thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to get more questions in because this is so interesting. We're going to move to 60 seconds for answers and see how that works. If you desperately need more time, you'll tell me. So Joe Bushnell, you're first. Tacoma's Planning Commission has recommended initial growth scenarios for home in Tacoma. Low-scale and mid-scale development in single-family areas is being recommended. What are your views on this, and do you have any new or different suggestions?
I'm supportive of the Home in Tacoma project. A lot of folks that I've talked to have some misunderstandings about what this is going to do for our zoning. I think that a lot of people feel like that in their single-family areas that they will build giant multi-complex, right next to their single-family home, and that's just not the case. A lot of young folks my age are trying to purchase their first home and start their own families, and it's extremely cost prohibitive. And we really need to do is increase supply, which will lower prices. And that increase in supply includes allowing for relaxed zoning in single family areas that are currently zoned single family for duplexes, triplexes, and fourplexes. I don't imagine that we're going to have entire blocks of neighborhoods, purchased and then redeveloped into giant multifamily, apartment buildings. So I'm supportive of increasing density in our transit corridors and in urban centers, but as well as allowing for more density in our single family zoning areas as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Artman?
Thank you. I also support the rezoning. And the reason why is that I'm proud of the city is that they're taking an initiative to just try and solve some of the concerns that we have. I have a 35-year-old son that lives in an apartment, and the most difficult thing for him is to be able to purchase a home. The average cost of a home today is $500,000, which is a lot. So if we are actually discussing rezoning, and we're going to be putting in more homes, I understand that, and they are not going to be on top of each other. I have enough trust in the city council to where I believe that they would have done enough research, understand from a model maybe they saw across the country, that they often do, is to not simply reduplicate it, but draw from another city. So I trust in it, and I trust also in it that some of the young folks they're able to purchase homes. It's the American dream today to be able to own a home. That's yours. There's this pride in ownership. I have owned 2 homes in Tacoma. The one I have here I bought 3 years ago. I want everybody in a city to be able to put a key in that door and turn that door and to be able to have their own home. Maybe it's not going to be 6 bedrooms with a huge lot like I had when I was growing up driving my mini bike around the backyard. Those days are over. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. How will you work alongside communities which speak additional languages beyond English? Ann Artman, you're first.
That is a great question for me. I'm smiling because my father was military, and so we travel all over the world. Spent about 5 years in Germany. Also, too, is that I was an international flight attendant in my 20s and traveled over the world for a very long time. So I'm very comfortable with different cultures. I am able to create this sense of trust. And my recovery center, what we're so proud of is that it is a unique, diverse environment. Every nationality you can imagine comes in there. And so I smile in hearing that because I would like to envision a community where we can all sit down and talk. And as Joe had mentioned, bringing back those cultural activities. I love to go to the Buddhist temple every single year when they have this event in the summertime. I'm looking forward to those coming back because I embrace our culture. I think a lot of us that live here in Tacoma is one of the reasons why we live here. So, thank you.
Thank you. Joe Bushnell.
Thank you. That's a fantastic question, and it's about accessibility. I actually speak Cambodian as well, and so I've seen how this is an issue for my family firsthand. I would often have to translate documents for my mother from the school district and others and that's difficult for a child to do. And so, I really believe in a community engagement at all levels of government and trying to provide translation services and also translated documents to the folks that are living in our area. But it's also not just about translation of words. It's also about translation of culture. There's a lot of different meanings behind colors. Certain colors mean different things depending on which culture you're a part of. And so I think engaging and understanding what those different meanings are at a deeper level at all levels of government and community organization would be really helpful in trying to reach folks that are not historically being reached. Thank you.
Thank you. And you're first for the next question, which is, do you support increased inclusion in all parts of society for those experiencing homelessness? If yes, what policies would you support or advocate to make this a reality? Absolutely.
I absolutely support bringing, folks experiencing homelessness into different and engaging them to participate in different culture and community events and whatever is available. I believe in a housing first strategy and getting folks off the street and into either tiny homes, hotels, expanded shelter spaces. And with those, services can access them and get to them easily. And those same services could also help bring them into the community to participate in different events. So that way we can make sure that because, folks experiencing homelessness are human. They are our community members. They are brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, and they should be treated as such. And we need to bring them into our community and hold them close so we can build them up to make them help them and get them better. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Artman.
Thank you. In the Tacoma Recovery Center is that we, I would say probably 75% of the individuals that come into our center are homeless. One of the things that we do is that we try to expose them to different experiences as well as education, employment. The other thing that we do is that we bring people into our community so that they can have they can be touched by them and engage with them and really sort of help them to feel accepted in their community. One of the first things that we do in order is we're working with building up some of their self-esteem and also that trust. And a lot of folks who are homeless today are, they don't trust folks of different cultures or even a different social status as well. And so our number one goal is we have a culturally competent space where we allow people to come in and engage, and we expose them to as much as we possibly can because it's important in reuniting them with the community that they've been out of for so long. So it's very important to us. Thank you.
Thank you. How can Tacoma provide affordable housing and other needed services to those who need help in Tacoma? And how can we ensure safe shelter of everyone in Tacoma? And if you only deal with one half of that, that's up to you.
Let's start with affordable housing. I've noticed in Tacoma is that when we have affordable housing apartment complex, it will be 20%. The number isn't working. I love the work that the city is doing, but I think that what we need to do is to move the needle a little bit more. And instead of it being 20%, perhaps it could be 30 or 40 or even 50%. Because the 20% isn't touching those that need the services. I have sent folks to pick up applications at an affordable housing place to where it opens up at 9 o'clock and by 9:15, there's nothing left. And so I think what we need to do is to increase the availability of affordable housing if we're really going to make a difference. Understand that folks, when it comes to fair marketing houses, that they need to have some sort of an income coming in to be sustainable. But I also understand if we're going to call it affordable housing, let's really make a difference and increase that from 20% to 30 or 40 or 50%, at least until we can get them on their feet. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Bushnell.
Thank you. Affordable housing is certainly a very big issue for our community. The multifamily tax exemption that's currently being used to create affordable units is an economic development tool, and I don't think it's a very great tool for creating affordable housing itself. It is a good economic development tool. So I believe that we need to have a separate incentive in order to build affordable housing specifically throughout the city and not just concentrated in certain parts of the city. It needs to be equally distributed throughout all parts of our city. And I'm certainly open to working with developers and other community organizations and partnering with Pierce County, the state and federal government to try and bring more money into our community so we can build these affordable units throughout our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you're first. This is a yes or no question. We don't do many of those. Do you support garbage collection and portable toilets near homeless encampments? Yes or no? And if no, just take a few seconds to tell us why not.
Yes.
Ann Artman.
Yes.
Okay. Should we let him answer this next one first also? I think so. Okay, sorry. I need to find the piece of paper. The homelessness outreach team includes 4 police officers, a code compliance officer, 2 outreach staff, and a designated crisis responder for training. Who do you think should be on this team, and what kind of training and powers should they have, and what should they do? Joe Bushnell.
Yeah, that's a great question. I haven't really thought about it too much, to be honest. But initially, when I hear the amount of people that are going out with that hot team, it might not necessarily need as many officers as are on that team. I think a lot of folks, if they have uniformed officers coming at them, might think, the wrong thing, whatever the intentions may be. It's often, officers come through to clear encampments, to clear out, or arrest somebody. And so that can be just having even an officer in present could be a sign of aggression to folks experiencing homelessness. I would love to see some more mental health and substance abuse counselors and mental health counselors as well on these teams, so that way they can identify and try to help and connect folks to services that they need to recover from whatever issues that they might be having. At the same time, those teams that go out aren't getting the support they need from the city and county, and we need to make sure we have buildings and other clinics available to bring people to help them battle whatever issues they're having. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Artman.
Thank you. I'm going to agree with Joe, and also to say is that the 4 police officers is probably is too much, and a lot of folks are afraid of them, and so I think that that's not a great way to start. The other thing, of course, is that definitely believe that we need to have mental health individuals with them as well, who are experienced working with homeless folks, as well as one piece that we're missing is that we need to have peer workers that are there that have actually had lived experience that can truly relate to them. It's very difficult to go in as a person who's never experienced it and talk to somebody and say, you need to come with me and let's find a better way. And so my belief is that the team that you mentioned is great. It's a great start, except is we need to have peer support workers. And also the other thing is that more community centers similar to ours. It can be even something small to where we can get them to services to where even that they can walk to where it's not that far away in the community, all throughout Tacoma where we're experiencing homelessness.
Thank you. This will be the last question. Ann Artman will answer it first. Tacoma Town Center is back in discussion, which is 21st to 23rd Streets, Jefferson to Tacoma Avenue. The current plan includes 537 market rate apartments and 98 affordable units set at 80% of AMI. Many of our homeless or potentially homeless residents do not live at anywhere near 80% AMI. Do you think the project needs to be adjusted to meet the needs of some of those residents? How? And should the proportion of market rate and affordable units be adjusted? And if you bring in other projects in your answer, that's fine.
Absolutely, the affordable market needs to be affordable housing needs to be adjusted. As I mentioned before, is that there just isn't enough units to actually make a difference. The other thing is that I've noticed is we can help someone get housed, but the big problem is, of course, is that it's teaching them to maintain their housing. I love all the ideas that Tacoma has. We just need to enhance them or tweak them just a little bit. And so what I believe is that there needs to be social service engagement to support them. That's providers in Tacoma, whether it's like a recovery center or Catholic Community Services or Vallejo who employs individuals. I think what we need to do is to come together, bring all the providers together and work as a team. Homelessness is a crisis. It needs a collaboration. It needs all of us to come together. But the first thing is that before we get folks into housing, let's help them to learn what it is to have your house, to maintain your home, to work on some of your social concerns. A lot of folks have evictions that we have to take care of. So it's a little bit more than just we have a home to put them in. We have some work to get them ready for those homes to be able to maintain them. And most important is that to have them available.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Bushnell.
Thank you. Could you say the question again?
Sure. Tacoma Town Center is back in discussion. It currently includes 537 market rate apartments and 98 affordable units set at 80% of AMI. Many of our homeless or potentially homeless residents do not live at anywhere near 80%. Do you think the project needs to be adjusted to meet the needs of some of those residents? And how should the proportion of market rate and affordable units be adjusted?
Thank you. So the town center is a product of the multifamily tax exemption, that 80% AMI, and it is an economic development tool. So it is working. That it is working as intended, but the problem is 80% AMI is not affordable housing. A lot of folks here in the city do not make enough to live in affordable housing, let alone folks experiencing homelessness. That's why we need to come up with a new way to build affordable housing and change those ratios. Those ratios need to be significantly changed. I'm talking about 50% AMI, 40% AMI, 20% AMI, so we can get folks into housing, and it needs to be equitably spread across the city. And so I think the multifamily tax exemption is a good tool for what it is, and I'm glad it does have portions that include some 80% AMI, but I don't think that's enough. We need a separate program from the multifamily tax exemption to create more affordable housing and that can better serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time for closing statements. You each have up to 1 minute. They will be in reverse ballot order, so we will begin with Ann Artman. You're muted.
Thank you so much for having me here today. As we close this, though, is that I want us to walk away with a couple of things about me. Is that one is that I consider myself to be a solution-focused person. I don't really know a whole lot about policies when it comes to a lot of things that the city is working on today. What I do have is that I have firsthand experience of working with homeless folks and being able to understand truly how we can make changes. Also, what I'd like to do is to take the experience that I have and the knowledge that I have, take that into the city council, work with them in a partnership to solve the concerns that we have. And the greatest concerns is homelessness now is in our backyards. It's affecting us. It's affecting children. It's affecting youth. And if we do not stop today and make a change through collaboration from all of us, 10 years from now, this crisis is going to be, you're going to see children running around homeless. And that's not a crazy statement to make. So what I want you to walk away with today is that I have the experience working with the city council to understand what it is that we need to do and to bring in a social service voice, an educated voice, something so unique and different that I've been told by the city councils, we've never had anybody like you that would come work for us. And we're ready for social services, for needs, and to help individuals. So August the 3rd, I ask you to put your trust in me, cast that ballot. Let's see what we can do to make some changes in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Bushnell, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. First off, I want to thank you and the League of Women Voters and TV Tacoma for helping put this on. I really appreciate you giving us a platform to give our voices out to the public. I think it's so important to bring transparency to the city council and to engage with the community. And I do that on a daily basis. I'm often in different volunteer work groups and community forums and all kinds of things. And this is the kind of stuff that our community needs in order to stay engaged. I really love the city of Tacoma. I was born and raised here, and I really, it'd be such an honor to represent and advocate for our community. And I really would like I'm hoping people can put their trust in me as I have put my trust in the community and what I do. And it's been cyclical. A lot of folks that I talk to are very engaged with me and always come to me with their problems. And I'm so happy that they're willing to talk to me, and I'm always willing to listen. And I really want to bring a new perspective to City Council. I want to bring some decisive decision making to the council. And I really hope that I can earn your vote come August. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ann Artman, Trayvon Dunbar, who was not here, and Joe Bushnell are candidates for Tacoma's 5th Council District. Thank you both for being here, and thank you for watching. Remember, the primary election is August 3rd. Please don't forget to vote.